Hello and welcome to another episode of the Podcast of Terror. Google Hangouts stopped dinging, so things get a little weird to start these things now. This is a production of Galactic Netcast. I am your host, Matt Stein. With me, as always, is Corey, Big Daddy Spork, Scott. Corey, how are you?
I like that I took it out of the notes and you still retain it. I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm fine. I was going to make note of the fact that you took it out, and I still put it in there anyways, much like my sex life.
Yes.
For more on this podcast, including show notes, contact information, subscription links, go to gncast.com/pot. For other shows from Galactic Nightcast, go to gncast.com. We're spoiler heavy, and we swear, and we have a guest. His name is JF Dubeau. JF, how are you?
I'm doing fine. I'm famished, but otherwise doing well. Thanks for having me on to
No problem.
talk about myself.
We have ulterior motives for having JF. Any of you that follow any of us on the social networking devices probably have heard us talk about a little book called The Life Engineered, which some of us got 50 some odd copies, others just got 3.
It's probably best to just get 3 because not everybody needs that that many doorstops.
No one needs Amy Frost level amounts of books. But you're here because you wrote a sci-fi fantasy horror sex novel, right?
Well, you can cut out a couple of words from that. Mostly, it's not sci-fi. It's not sex.
I don't want it anymore.
Sorry, Corey, you still in?
Yeah, I'm okay with things that I don't need D batteries for that I stick my junk in. So let's talk about your book.
I love being on this podcast. It's so different from the others. We can talk about dildos. It's a fantasy horror book, which is, as I've said on other interviews, that it is the stupidest marketing move I could have possibly done, going from one genre to another before establishing anything. But whatever.
Or it could be the smartest. It honestly is. It's one of those things that it sets up your readers. As you're building your fan base, they have to understand that you're a person who's going to want to have varied stories. And so it's better to hit them with that ahead of time as opposed to saying, okay, so I'm going to write 15 sci-fi novels and then I'm going to try to do a different genre, like I'm going to move over to romance or something. That will cause confusion. You wind up having to come up with a different pen name.
Well, I can pretty much guarantee I'm not going to go into romance.
I want a sex novel. Write me a sex novel.
I can write you a sex short story, Matt.
There we go.
Non-romantic sex for Matt.
Just
robot dildos. Sorry for my dogs barking in the background that I'm sure everyone can hear. My dogs are dildos.
Got it.
How many D batteries does your dog take?
6. Cost me a fortune.
It's terrible.
Anyways, back to JF and his book writings.
No, I want to keep hearing about how Matt would fuck an Ibo if he had the chance, but
is that what they're called?
the Sony robotic dogs.
Robotic dog, yeah.
Oh, I thought we were talking about the iPad attachment for the first-person sex stuff as I air hump. If you're listening to the podcast, you cannot see me air humping right now, but I'm doing it. Another bonus of watching the video is you get to watch me air hump.
I did not know there was such an attachment for the iPad.
Are you serious?
No, I had no idea. And I do visit some websites that will talk about the raunchiest technology, and I haven't seen anything like that pass by.
Those are called pornography sites.
Clearly I'm not going to the correct site.
It's called Engadget.com. No, the sad thing about the Ibo is that they died recently. Didn't they all just basically stop being able to run? They hit their...
Oh, it's even sadder than that. Like, I read an article and it really kind of bummed me out because it's not like they all died at the same time. It's basically Ibo owners that are still attached to their robo-dog that does nothing have been cannibalizing other robot dogs for pieces to keep theirs alive. And since Sony doesn't support any of that, it's just the most depressing story about sad people with really shitty robot dogs, but being so emotionally attached to them that they're killing other useless robot dogs to keep theirs alive. It bums me out to think about it.
There was a movie with Andy Kaufman and Bernadette Peters where they played robots in the early 80s, obviously because Andy Kaufman died. But
Or did he?
Yeah. Or Cherry 2000. Cherry 2000 was another one where it's like, hey, I need
Yeah,
to go
exactly.
find this robot that fits what I've been having sex with all these years, and mine broke down, so now I need to get this new one from the junkyard and shove the personality into it.
But in the end, he falls in love with the punk-looking bounty hunter, and they
Melanie
live
Griffith.
happily ever after.
Well, they fly off into the sand dunes, I think.
Yeah, with a shitty plane.
For anyone interested, that movie is called Heart Beeps.
Yep. Yeah, that's well, there you go. There's your sci-fi.
Done.
Heart Beeps.
Sci-fi, sex, fantasy, with a little
Mark
bit of
that
horror.
checkbox.
But do you
Melanie
see
Griffith's
robot penetration?
Oh yeah,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm in.
there's plenty in that.
Okay.
Fantastic.
And now I have robot penetration stuck in my mind. Thanks, guys.
Speaking of penetrating, penetrate us with the words about your book, JF.
Oh yeah, sorry. See, this is why I'm terrible at marketing these things, is because I tend to prefer going on to tangents about robo-boning, or roboning as we call it in the biz. So no,
I think
before
that's a campfire song.
see, we're doing it again.
Corey,
We're
shut
worse.
up. Let him talk.
Yeah. So I'm terrible at self-promotion. So basically, yeah, I wrote a second book. This is a book I actually wrote before I wrote The Life Engineered, and I've been rewriting it ever since. But now I'm trying to get it funded. It's a fantasy horror book, kind of set in a small village. The year in which it's set is 2012, so it's like recent past, so that I don't have to adapt to modern age, to how technology changed since then, and also it's not far enough in the past I have to do too much research. While that makes me sound super lazy, it's mostly because so I can concentrate on the characters. And the basic of the story is the thematic, if you will, is a sort of a mix between Stand By Me by Stephen King and The Call of Cthulhu by H.P. Lovecraft. So the idea's got this very small town, small village feel, but the story is about the characters, like 3 generations of characters from this tiny village in the eastern townships of Quebec, dealing with the fact that they have this ancient, all-powerful old god that's evil and malicious and malevolent in their village. And the story takes off when the main character, a teenage girl, accidentally traps that thing in her backyard shed. So you've got one generation that's trying to get that god because they want to destroy it, and they're one that wants to just exploit it for power. And then you've got the younger generation that's just trying to figure out what the fuck to do with it and what is that thing.
So during your description, I really wanted to butt in and say, but is the god in the shed? And he is. So I really appreciate you delivering what the book is titled.
Yes, there you go. I telegraph it very clearly.
Which is awesome. When did you start writing this? Because, like you said, this came before The Life Engineered, but The Life Engineered has now since been published. So I guess, when did you write it? When is it going to be done? And when can I have sex with my eyeballs with it?
All interesting descriptions. I love your metaphors. They're gripping. Actually, I wrote the thing about 5 years ago, and I wrote just a year before I wrote The Life Engineered. But where the Life Engineered, why it was so much faster to sort of produce, is that while I wrote it maybe 3 years ago, a lot of it were ideas that were bouncing around in my head for half a decade or more. For A God in the Shed, I wrote it cold 5 or 6 years ago, and I'm terrible with dates, by the way. So but I've been rewriting it ever since. I have a final draft. I have a final draft and half of the sequel completely written. So it's the only thing that's really needed for the book to get to copulate with your eyeballs is just to get it funded on Inkshares, mostly so I can get it edited by a professional editor, someone that actually knows how to correct things and make sure that the story flows correctly, and then have it go through the proper channels of distribution, the same process that went for The Life Engineered. So the campaign ends in basically 33 days from right now, so in a month. And the moment it ends, I've got a manuscript that I can just immediately send to Inkshares and start the editing process. So
Oh wow.
you could get your hands on the book in 8 to 10 months if all goes well.
Oh my God, it's so long. That's what she said. Awesome. Well, thank you for coming on the show.
And is there a quick link to get people to?
Oh, hell yeah! I mean, yeah, that would be the promotion part of
It'll
it.
be in the show notes, but still, I urge you to say it here for those who don't care about the show notes, and it was also in last week's show notes. But go ahead.
Actually, I've got a shorter version of it now. If you go to bit.ly/godintheshed on one word, it'll take you to the project page where there's like 6 sample chapters. There's a little video with my shitty voice trying to explain what's going on. There's a link actually to the prologue being narrated by Paul Inman, my co-host on a writing podcast, Right Brain. He does an excellent job of making it feel just creepy enough. So go check out the samples and figure out if you're interested, and then buy all the copies.
53 copies to be exact.
No, there's
no
right
option
now
for 53. It's only up to 10.
No, it's up to 10 copies. There's honestly like. If you buy a physical copy, it'll be signed and numbered. If you buy 3 copies, you get your name in the book as a supporter. So I mean, if that's something that's cool to people, yay. Oh, other stuff that I'm doing, by the way, I keep forgetting to plug this. One of the things I'm doing, since this is a horror book, is out of all the people that support the book, once the book funds, I'm going to pick a name at random from the supporters and get in contact with that person, and I'm going to use their name and likeness in the book as a minor character that I'm going to murder in the story. Like I already have a few. Like I said, the manuscript's already written, so I have a few people that die because obviously it's a horror book, but I will essentially just tweak the story to have one of these characters be replaced by one of my supporters because that sounds fun to me. I feel like murdering people who support my work.
And while there's no shortage of people who will murder you on the internet for free, it's nice to also support a really cool story about it. I also have to say, having 6 copies of Life Engineered, it is a gloriously beautiful book. I mean, just in the way that the trade dresses and everything about it, it feels really good in the hand. It's gorgeous to look at, and it was nice when Gregor kind of reminded me that our names were in the back of the book as well.
Yeah, it's true because you guys like Galactic Netcast and you guys supported the funding for Life Engineered during the contest for Soren Laser, so obviously I had to put a thank you note in the book for it. It's so hard because so many people did support and help that book get produced that when I was writing the acknowledgments, like I'm gonna run out of space, like I had to condense.
So I bought 3 copies of Life Engineered. I only need 1. So I gave 2 of them away, and someone actually that I gave it to was like, "Did you know that your name is in the back?" And I completely forgot. So thank you for putting my name in the back of the book. I felt special for 36 seconds.
Well, that's the thing. Like some people, like personally, I'm not big on getting things signed, and I'm not big on getting my names into things. For other people, it's something that they take pride in, and I mean, I've grown to sort of understand that and accept that that's something that some people find cool. So if it's a selling point to some people to get their name in the book, in the published book, and if that means that I get more pre-orders for it, then hell, go for it. Cool.
I'm still waiting for the Kindle app that is going to let you get a digital book signed, because I find that I carry a Kindle around with me a lot more than I carry around regular books. Mm-hmm. And it seems like there is still that crowd that wants to have something signed, even if they prefer to read it digitally, and just to have it sort of personalized, to just get the file kind of code signed and have that link back up to your Amazon account or Kobo or whoever to give you the opportunity to have sort of both aspects of it.
I think it's just having some sort of physical proof. It's like a letter of authenticity. You know what I mean? Saying like, yes,
certificate.
Certificate, yeah. And it's just proof saying that like, yeah, I met this person and this person acknowledged my existence after I paid to purchase something that they created. You know what I mean?
Well, it's one of the things that's kind of cool about the way media works these days, and I mean the very reason why podcasts like Podcast Terror or anything like that functions is this sort of desire for people to be able to get in touch and communicate and really have a relationship with content producers. This is why communities like Galactic Netcast, like the Frog Pants Network, Diamond Club, all these things are so cool and work so well. And it's the same thing that goes for for writing or web comics, books, whatever. People don't just want to feel like they're consuming a product. They want to feel, and not just feel, but they want to have a relationship with the creators. And that's actually kind of cool from my point of view, because it's so much more fun to be able to discuss what I'm working on, what I've worked on with people, than just, yeah, I made a book, buy it and give me money, bye, I don't want to hear from you. Like that's very sterile compared to how we deal with things these days.
Well, that's very true. I was once involved in a situation where I met a band that I really liked, and they were huge dicks, and now I refuse to purchase any of their music. And I threw out like 6 or 7 shirts and a hoodie, and I said, this is how you make your living. Don't be a dick to me, who I take the money that I go to work and make every day to give to you to allow you to do what you want to do, and you're a dick to me. So don't be a dick.
I'm trying not to be, but to be honest, sometimes
you're not a
it's
dick
hard.
at all. I hope you take that out of that. You're not a dick. You're actually a super nice person, and we've done multiple podcasts together, and you're always a delight.
Ooh, thanks. But here's the weird thing: like there are some times where never am I a dick, but sometimes I do feel like I'm sort of neglectful of people, because sometimes there's just so much shit going on at the same time, and then I feel like I'm being a dick because I'm not responding fast enough and I'm not paying attention to shit. And anyways.
Yeah, but you're a writer, and so you kind of get the writer excuse right off the bat for that.
Oh, fuck that. No way. I don't like anytime any kind of artist tries to, get themselves out of a corner by saying, "Oh, but you don't understand. I'm an artist, so I'm ADD." It's like, no, take responsibility for your actions or lack thereof, and that's what I'm trying to do.
Well, and not only that, but in today's technological age, the ability to reach out and contact someone is much easier to do than it used to be. So you almost have to be constantly responding to people, because you can get a message on Twitter and Facebook and this, that, and the other thing, and if you don't respond, someone might take that as you being a dick, which I think is kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, there's kind of a happy middle ground, and I think I'm starting to understand it. Like there was a time where if I didn't answer a tweet immediately, I felt like a jerk. But at the same time, I don't want to go an entire week and not answer someone who has a relevant question or concern for me to address. There's this happy medium where I can take maybe 10 hours before I answer a tweet. I can finish my meal before answering. But at the same time, if I completely forget to do it, that makes me a bit more of a dick.
Yeah, there's. You're obviously on a different level than I am, but when we get an email or someone tweets at me for the podcast or something music related, I get excited to respond. Now, it doesn't happen all that often, so I could see if it happened a lot more. I might get annoyed.
I'm not on that much of a different level. I'm still at the point where I get a tweet oh, someone read my book and says it's good. Oh shit, yeah! I'm still super. I'm not at the point, and I really hope I never get to the point where I'm kind of blasé. It's oh, another fan. Who cares? No, I'm I don't want that level, because that means I really become an asshole.
See, I don't think you would get to that level. Just knowing you, I don't think you would. You seem super genuine. You got a sweet dumper on you too, so I think you'll be good.
I have a what?
a nice turd cutter.
Oh yeah, well I
like how you got turd cutter but not dumper. Those are butt references for those listening who aren't familiar with a dumper or a turd cutter.
They probably don't translate to French very well.
Les dumplé.
Well, actually, because I don't know, maybe it's something from my childhood, but what we would call a dumper would be like a dumper truck.
Oh no, same here. But I'm more into referring to poop holes.
Got it. I'm still adjusting to that particular mindset for a Galactic Netcast program. Man, I can't wait to be on Sci-Fi Geeks Club and still have the podcast terror mindset and have Dave have to bleep me out a million times.
There was one time Corey and I did Weird World Weekly because Dave was sick, and it was incredibly difficult. Like, because I get so used to being with Corey on the other side and just saying whatever the hell I want, and there was a lot of times where I had to like bite my tongue.
Plus the paranoia on Dave's part, just in general, like, no, you guys aren't gonna like do Podcast of Terror on Weird World Weekly, right? You're not gonna go that route. No, Dave, it'll be fine.
Out, Dave.
I make no promises.
I got naked on the podcast, which imagine how that one would pan out.
Well, that would definitely be a Podcast of Terror.
I'm imagining it right now.
Fuck you, it's audio. I'm taking my shirt off very slowly, rubbing my nipple.
Sweat glistening on my hairy abs.
I do not have abs. That is something that is not happening. Sweat. I do get sweaty, though. I get very sweaty.
Got it. I'm glad we're back talking about horror.
Yeah.
Speaking of horror movies, not actual horrors. I'd rather talk about real horrors, but the whole reason I guess we're here, JF wanted us to watch this movie Nightbreed from 1990, which was a Clive Barker movie, which I did not know existed.
Really? Oh man, that movie got it. The critics hated it. The public didn't bother to see it. It was a bomb. It was amazing.
It was super good.
I loved it. I loved that movie.
It's very apparent that it is a Clive Barker movie, just with all the characters and stuff.
Yeah, and it's very much of its age, but it does star David Cronenberg as the main villain, which is awesome
Brilliant.
in and of itself.
Yeah, I just every time I see Cronenberg in this, I'm just like, holy crap! Just the fact that they got him, he in no way related to the production or anything, because he's starred in other things as well. I mean, he showed up in his own films, but to have him be the main villain for this movie was just spectacular.
It's gorgeous, and he plays it very well. He's probably one of the most convincing characters in the movie.
Yeah, and he's just iconic now. That mask and the way that he acts with it, and even the way that he uses the weaponry, it all just adds up so perfectly. The nice suit and the overcoat and everything, but that freakish mask with the buttonhole eyes is just so perfect.
Yeah, he just pulls out of this very pristine suitcase, very businesslike.
Have either of you seen The Collector?
Yes.
That mask reminded me of The Collector mask.
Oh, the movie The Collector. I thought you meant like a collector's edition of Nightbreed.
No. Sorry, the movie The Collector.
I have not seen The Collector.
The Killer's mask is very similar. If you took the buttons off, but it still has like that rubbery. Corey, am I ridiculous, or do you agree?
No, I think you're absolutely right. I think there's a few things that probably out of that. There's also a character in the incredibly cute but creepy comic Lenore from Roman Dirge that is similar.
Pick up Lenore.
Lenore is excellent, by the way. Anybody who likes horror stuff but also wants to add a little bit of cute to it with the massive derangedness of a little girl who is half dead, should check out Lenore.
He's got a very quirky style of art too.
Oh yeah, totally does. Yeah, I can see that. But yeah, the other thing we like to do on this podcast is Google things to get answers.
Those of us who aren't formally informed,
like
to sit there and tap keys. So this is Clive Barker at his Barkeriest. He was writing the short story Cabal and decided that he'd like to make a movie of it. He had already done Hellraiser, so they gave him a pretty large budget. They gave him $11 million versus the $2 million that he had before, and let him go to town, and then said, okay, now that we see sort of what you're doing, we need to tone a lot of this shit back. And just kind of almost broke his will with some of the things. I wound up watching the director's cut today because that's what they have on Netflix.
Oh, I didn't even know it was on Netflix.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I've seen
it's not on Netflix Canada for those who might be curious.
Sorry, Canada.
Yeah.
But I kind of like the regular version better. I don't know that the the director's cut added anything worthwhile. There was some scenes that were a little padded. I don't remember all the singing in the original, but it's been a while since I've seen it. But the ending is different in this, and I kind of felt bummed out by some of the changes.
I don't think I've seen the director's cut then, because I don't remember singing at all. And I do like the ending that we get in the first one, although it hints at a sequel that we never get. Except I think they did do a sequel in comic book form.
They've done a couple of things in comics, one of which they've done a crossover with the Hellraiser series, Hellraiser versus Nightbreed, the Jihad, and they've just recently done another Nightbreed series, I think, from another company. They had originally done the adaptation of this through Epic Comics at Marvel when it came out. But yeah, so the ending, describe the ending of the first one, or of the ones that you guys saw.
Well, the way it ends is basically the city of Midian, which is the city of monsters that's underneath a graveyard, gets attacked by the local police and rednecks, along with the Cronenberg's character, the doctor, and the god of the Nightbreed, Baphomet, gets kind of torn to pieces, and various characters leave with various pieces wrapped in cloth. Oh wait, no, that's not. That's how the book ends.
You were on the right track there.
No, I feel it's at the end basically. Cronenberg's character plunges his hands into the body of that god of Baphomet and basically just tackles like a maniac.
Wasn't it the priest that? The priest goes and
you're right. The priest plunges he gets burned by the blood of Baphomet, then he uses that blood to resurrect that Cronenberg's character.
Yeah, Dr. Decker. See what happened and then also the Nightbreed, they all go and they move into a barn while Boone and Laurie are supposed to be out looking for a new home for them. As Baphomet basically tells him, you have to go. You've destroyed this city that we live in, but you're supposed to bring me to a new home and bring all of the Nightbreed to a new place. So it shows them being closed into this barn essentially while they go looking. That slightly changed. One is that Laurie and Boone have this moment where he's like, I have to go look for the new home for them. You should wait for me. And she says, well, we should do this together. And he goes, no, I can't really do that. So she gets mad at him, sends him away, and then stabs herself.
Typical woman.
And calls him back to basically bring her to life. So she becomes one of the Nightbreed. He bites her, very vampiric in this scene, which was a little strange, in much the way that he was bitten to become one of the Cabal. And she comes back, and then they basically, the people in the barn are like, okay, now they both are going to look for the new home for us. At the same time, the priest, instead of having that moment where he brings Decker back to life, the cop comes up to him and he's like, I will help you go find these people and destroy them. And he winds up strong-handing and killing the cop and then just going off to find and kill the rest of the Nightbreed himself. So Decker has nothing in the ending at all, which I found strange because Decker was really the prominent one in this, other than the fact that they're setting up the priest for the second one. I like having both as opposed to just the priest.
Yeah, because there's a lot more potential as far as the character interaction between the priest and Decker going forward.
And Decker coming back to life, it means that he finally gets what he wants, which is to be one of the monsters in a way. And it gives him more power. And I think that's far more interesting.
Definitely. Mind you, that's always been the thing that's kind of interesting about like the kind of in-your-face subtext of the entire movie is the idea that Decker is the more monster the whole time, and everybody else, despite their appearance, are not.
Yeah, that's essentially what Barker was going for. Is he wanted to show the world that all the things that you think monsters are the things that you dream of being, and it when you see that they exist, you despise them for it because it's not you.
Yeah, basically a jealousy, if you will.
It's I think one of the reasons why I like this movie so much is it's kind of like the X-Men. And that's where I was in the late 80s and the 90s, was I was reading X-Men comics, and that's sort of what this is. It's a whole bunch of essentially superpowered characters that have been cast out from human society as mutants and freaks, and then the world comes to try to destroy them, and they're trying to defend themselves and say that they have a right to belong.
Yeah, it's basically what if the X-Men happened, but there was no super rich, bald, telepathic guy to build a school for them, and they had to live underneath a graveyard instead.
Yeah, there's no trying to fit into society. They're basically the Morlocks.
Yeah.
They're living under the streets of New York as opposed to trying to fit in and, yeah, be in a super rich school.
Which is cool because I feel like it gives the message of being different is not bad that the X-Men tries to convey. It does it better, mostly because the X-Men are all very pretty people. They're just very pretty and very powerful also. Meanwhile, the Cabal, the Nightbreed, are not all very pretty and not necessarily imbued with superpowers. Like some of them just look weird and have strange deformities.
Yeah, there were some of the characters that were just very bizarre. Like it's also a little bit weird that they don't explain what makes you a Nightbreed, because at first when Boone meets the two guys, the Mac the Night guy, and the sort of devil-faced one with the braids,
Pelican.
Yeah, Pelican. He's all, well, I've killed people, and Pelican's, no, you haven't. You're innocent. I can smell innocence on you, which means you're meat. So it makes it seem like you have to have killed people to become one of them, but that's not actually what happens for Boone or for Narcisse. They don't go and kill people. Narcisse cuts his face off, and Boone dies, but he gets brought back because Pelican bites him, which gives him the infection to return to life.
Well, I think that might be like in my opinion, what I got from the movie is that Boone has always been Nightbreed. It's always been dormant in him, if you will. That's why he was getting the dreams. That's why he was attracted and knew where Midian was and how to get there, because he already had that. It's just the bite from Pelican just awakens that in him.
Right.
Meanwhile, when Pelican says that no, you're innocent, he's not accusing him of not being Nightbreed. He's just accusing him. They're just saying, no, you've been lied to. You've never killed anyone. So.
But he does keep treating him like it's okay for me to kill you because you haven't changed it. You haven't crossed over to become one of us.
Yeah. No. There's definitely this perception that, if normal people treat us like crap, we're going to treat them like food.
And at the end of the director's cut edition that I watched, that's sort of what it gives with Boone being able to bring Laurie back, is that the monster is potentially within all of us if she wasn't having these dreams and she wasn't really part of this, but he was able to bring her back as one of them in the end anyways. So it is kind of you have to be accepted into them in one way or another, but I don't know if it's as inherent. I think some people just have a stronger connection to it than others do.
Yeah, it's interesting that the mythology is not very well explained, and in a way that's kind of cool because it remains mysterious. In another way, like it's hard to establish rules and understand what the plausibility is in the story, like for yourself. I don't know. I don't know how much I like the what you described the director's cut ending is, because it feels too much like they're vampires.
It really was vampire light in this regard. And the other thing is with Barker, if you read some of his other works, they kind of tie in together. You get to see just a little bits here and there. So if you've read The Great and Secret Show and Everville,
I read a lot of Barker.
Great and Secret Show is one of my favorite books of all time. That has a
Galilee is my favorite book, bar none.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Great and Secret Show, which is the first book of the art, has Harry D'Amour show up. At least I know he's more prominent in Everville, and he's from the Lord of Illusions movie / story. He is supposed to be in I think the next or the final book of the Books of Blood with the Hellraiser characters. He's supposed to show up in that, and if you follow the canon of the Hellraiser crossover with Nightbreed, that means that all four of those different things, in some way or another, tie into each other. They all exist together, which is like what King does with all of his stuff. Is all Flag shows up everywhere, and so I kind of wonder how much of the Nightbreed stuff comes back into relation to things like the art, or other things similarly in Barker's works.
Yeah, it'd be great to have kind of an official word from Barker about how that applies.
Or if he just finished the goddamn third book of the art.
Yeah, maybe. Well, he's got a bit of the J.R. Martin syndrome there, where he's not finishing things that we wish he would.
Yeah, I mean, he's had a lot of health problems too, so I'm forgiving, but I just want to see it done, man.
Oh, well, same here. And the thing is, it would be good motivation for me to go back and reread the two first books, because I've read them so long ago that I would need to freshen up. I was talking to someone else very recently about some of my favorite books, and I mentioned Galilee, and I've read that book already twice, and I very rarely read a book more than once, and I just feel like I should be reading it a third time.
Yeah, The Great and Secret Show, I checked out from the library where I was living in Michigan, and I read it. And by the time I was done, I went back to the library and checked it out again so I could reread it immediately. It affected me so much. Everville I've only read once, but the same thing. I kind of want to read them both together again, but especially if the third book was, right around the corner.
That would be great, because Barker's he's easily my favorite horror writer, because he doesn't approach horror in a way that's just meant to discuss or shock, or like his whole point is an exploration of horror and what it means, like what exactly is it to be a monster. Like even the Cenobites are like, they're supposed to be creatures from hell, but even the way they interact, the way they discuss, the way they talk about their origins and their existence, it's not like they talk about pain as if it's pleasure to them. So it's, as it's a nice play on perception and the blurring of the lines. It's like, I won't lie, I'll say it immediately. And the reason why I picked this movie is Barker is like a huge influence on me when I'm writing things. When I write things like A God in the Shed, or when I write things like horror, they're the kind of things, the same themes that I want to explore, because it's so much more fun than just, oh yeah, the guy killed the other guy and it was gruesome, yay.
Right. Hey Matt, how you doing?
Good.
Did you enjoy the film, Matt?
I did. You guys
cool.
have much more insight on it than I do. I just thought it was cool. It was cool looking.
Well, I'm pleasantly surprised to see that I find a fellow Clive Barker fan in Corey.
That doesn't surprise me. I mean, obviously, I like Clive Barker, but he's an odd duck.
Well, he definitely is. I have a friend who used to work at Epic Comics when they were around, when they were a subsidiary of Marvel, and Clive would call up in the middle of the night when Adam was working in the offices, and he would just kind of creep him out over the phone. And Adam is not someone who can get creeped out very easily, but Barker's the one guy who could do it.
Nice. I'm kind of jealous of your friend now.
Yeah.
I would love to chat with Clive Barker. I have so many questions.
I have a Hellraiser Laserdisc special edition with a signed copy of the movie manuscript in my basement.
Wow.
I found it at St. Vincent de Paul for like $10. I don't have a Laserdisc player, but I figured I could sell it to someone. It's still in my basement.
And one thing you pick up from the movies and things that we choose, and the ones that I'm more into, it's usually the things that have these massive mythologies to them. So I'm the person who would pick the Hellraiser films, or would pick Nightbreed normally. I like to have that thing that I can follow and explore and go down the rabbit hole a little bit with. And it's not usually slasher flicks for me. It's not normally just straight up horror stuff. It's something that's going to feel a little bit more fantasy and supernatural.
So here's an interesting question. What's your opinion of Hellraiser 4, Hellraiser in Space, which is almost a movie I picked for this?
Real movie?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
It's not called Hellraiser in Space, but that's essentially what it is.
Hellraiser 4 is Bloodline, right?
Yes.
Either I don't remember it or I haven't seen it.
You should definitely see it. It is underrated. I personally I love that movie.
I had challenged Matt early on that we should watch all the Hellraiser movies alongside all of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies because they matched up to each other for a while, and we watched the first ones and did a comparison between them, but we haven't moved on to the next ones. And it was more of an excuse for me to just be able to watch all the Hellraiser movies again and all the Nightmare on Elm Street, which are also some of my favorites.
Well, I'm not going to stop you.
Bad.
You can watch them.
Yes, but it was... I need the excuse to do it for this. I don't think I could just... That's my week.
Fine. In 2 weeks, you have to give a book report on all of the Hellraiser movies.
Oh, God damn it.
You wanted it.
Yeah, all right, fine. But it's for us to do together. That's
Nope.
our relationship, Matt.
Nope. Don't wish that evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
I'm going to stop sending you batteries for
Come
your
on,
dogs.
the first and second one aren't too bad. The third one is
Oh, no. The first one is
painful.
a phenomenal movie, and the second one is also a acceptable movie, but 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
No, the fourth one is great because speaking like the reason I'm bringing it up is because we're talking about mythology. The fourth one is the one that really delves into some of the mythology and some of the myth and the history of Hellraiser, and that's why I find it so cool.
Yeah.
You're an odd duck, Mr. Dubeau.
Because isn't it at the end of the third one that they show the office building with the giant... basically, it's what looks like the puzzle box when it's been sort of unwrapped a little bit, and so that's in the building. And then isn't that part of what leads into part 4?
Kinda. The conceit of basically what 4 explains is that the way to destroy the Lament configuration, the puzzle box that opens the gate to hell, is to put it into something called an Elysium configuration, which is basically the equivalent, a puzzle box that would be a portal to heaven. And if you solve the Elysium configuration with the Lament configuration in it, it'll destroy it. So the descendants of Paul Le Marchand, which invented the original puzzle box, they've all been trying to come up with ways of doing it. And what you see at the end of Hellraiser 3, and it's brought back, it's referenced in Hellraiser 4, is an architect who tried to do it with a building, basically creating this Elysium configuration in the shape through architecture. And the reason why the fourth one is Hellraiser in space is because it's even further in the future, where another architect or another descendant of Paul Le Marchand is trying to do it, but with a space station. But he's more ambitious. He wants to open the Lament configuration so that the portal to hell is open when he destroys it. He wants to essentially try to destroy hell. That goes about as well as you think it would.
Also, he's in space, so you got to be careful because Jason can just come down around the corner in a second with a machete.
Oh, that movie was terrible.
I love that movie. It is terrible.
It's super entertaining, but it is just piles of bullshit.
It was also brought to us by Canada. I just want to point that out to you, Jeff.
I know, it is our gift to you, our neighbors to the south.
But I love that one.
South Canada, enjoy our gift.
Get out of here. Canadian propaganda.
So yeah, Clive Barker movies.
Yeah. I generally really like Clive Barker movies, so I'm not at all surprised when I liked this one. I wish there would have been a second one, though. It also reminded me of Little Monsters. Is that movie with Howie Mandel?
Oh, and Fred Savage?
Yeah.
Oh, the blue dude with the horns and stuff? Yeah, I never saw that, but I've seen the cover at the Blockbuster a few times.
You still have Blockbusters in Canada?
No. That was back in the day.
I knew you guys were living in the past, but I wasn't sure how far back.
Silence.
Little Monsters was 1989. Considering the fact that this movie took a while to come out because it had to be trimmed down and everything, I can see why they would have been right next to each other essentially in production.
Wow.
Huh. Wow. Yeah, just the way that they look, which I guess they're both roughly the 90s. So, and you're going under They would go under the bed in Little Monsters to get to the scary place. I haven't seen that movie in a really long time, so I don't remember anything.
Probably
Thunderstone.
also the
Yeah,
same,
Howie Mandel.
yeah, the same level of special effects and makeup that you'd expect from both. So
Yeah.
I mean, but one of the things about this is that it was just the makeup was so varied, and there were all these different types of creatures that were created. That stands out. Also, they got the guy from Star Wars to come back and do some of the artwork for the film to lay out things for some of the different scenes. Ralph Corey, is that right?
maybe I'm not good with names.
Yeah, me neither.
But yeah, the look of the various monsters and one of the things that makes Nightbreed kind of very cool as a movie is that how they manage very quickly to introduce a wide variety of characters, not just in their looks but in their personality and behavior, which was kind of cool because it really made the idea of this community of monsters stand out.
That's true.
Yeah, Ralph McQuarrie. Also, they got Danny Elfman to do the music for this. How
That's
huge is
true.
that?
I don't know if it was that huge back then.
It was pretty big because he'd already done Batman by this point in time. He had done Beetlejuice. He was pretty well known. The Simpsons were out at this point, so Elfman was a known name. It wasn't like we had gotten to Nightmare Before Christmas or anything where people really were picking it up, but it was still kind of huge.
I'm curious how much Elfman picks projects less for the money and more for this is my vibe and this sounds cool.
I mean, it certainly seems like he does things that fit a certain style. And obviously a lot of it is the fact that he works with Burton all the time, but it seems like there's got to be this underlying creepiness with a fantastical and a beautiful at the same point, or even like something whimsical to it. All of his music has that feel.
So just as you're saying that, it came to me, it kind of dawned on me, how weird is it that we haven't seen a Tim Burton directed, music produced by Danny Elfman adaptation of a Clive Barker book? You'd feel like that would just be a natural fit.
It would be, but it's also Clive likes to control his stories more,
Yeah,
I think.
God damn it, Clive. Because I feel like because they both have the same approach where they like to portray the monsters as being kind of the good people, the people that are beautiful inside. So I don't know. I guess it would be a bit more difficult picking which Clive Barker book do you put in the hands of Tim Burton to direct.
Yeah, I think if you look at Clive's credits for what he's directed, Hellraiser, Nightbreed, Lord of Illusions, they're all things that were his stories, his books first, and he wanted to be the one to bring them into the film world. And I can understand that because he worked very hard to defend this movie. He worked very hard to kind of say they made him choose the name Nightbreed for the film. He wanted to call it Cabal, and they said, well, that word doesn't exist. That's just going to confuse people. And they were the ones who wanted to trim it down from the 2-something hours. Now, maybe that was better. I haven't seen the Cabal cut, but the director's cut definitely adds another 20 to 40 minutes, I think, of film onto it. But he knows what his story is, and when you hand it off to somebody else, they always kind of want to make it their own story and lose the heart of it, which I would not want to see that happen to Barker stuff. I'd love to have it be someone who would respect it. I'd love to see a Guillermo del Toro do a Barker story, especially with the way
Del Toro
would
do better because Tim Burton kind of shies away from things that are really nasty. Meanwhile, Del Toro is more open to that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
and he definitely has the proper aesthetics.
Although I did finally see the oh god, what is it? The Marvel one, Sweeney Todd, a couple weeks ago, and
I like Sweeney Todd.
Yeah, it was really good. It was much darker than a lot of the other stuff that Burton has done, and so yeah, I think he has that in him, but I think he just knows that his real audience likes that creepy cute.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very possible that Burton is too big to take on a Clive Barker book right now.
Yeah, and we'd have to figure out who Johnny Depp would play.
Everyone.
Zing!
Oh, he should play the Jaff. Oh, that would be great.
Oh,
Play the
I.
walking dildo.
And we've brought it back around to the beginning.
I like to bring things full circle around here. You guys want to get into ranking this?
Sure.
Sound fun? Sound fun? So, JF, since you refuse to ever listen to any podcasts that we've ever done and you're unfamiliar with our ranking system here,
I look. I'm not going to apologize for my lack of time.
no, you
I
should.
told you that I've already have some of your some
He
podcasts.
feels people that he feels bad for people that he doesn't retweet, but us.
He picked all the short ones to listen to, too. He doesn't listen to any of our marathon party episodes.
Oh Lord.
Matt, let me put it to you this way, right? I host an Overwatch podcast with Amy Frost, and she was on your program a few weeks back.
Yes.
And you guys did Pan's Labyrinth, which is a movie I adore. Do you think that she hasn't been on my case about listening to her episode?
So I think it's really funny that she's on your case to listen to her episode on our show, but I never once have said to you, like, hey, you really got to listen to my podcast. Up
You
until
should.
right now, when I can publicly shame you for not listening.
Thank you, Matt. I appreciate it.
When we're done here, I will stop asking you about it because, fuck it.
I will add though that I listen to The Right Brain, and I'm a big fan of it, including the
But
beta episode.
You're a writer. See, if he had one on upcoming dildo technology, I would listen to that.
I've listened to some of the overcasts as well, and I'm not a gamer, but it's mostly just because I like JF and Amy.
Oh, it's getting
Constant
awkward in
yelling.
here.
So what's ranking system? How does that
So-
work?
We just do 3 categories. We do rewatchability, the story, and the scariness of the movie. 'Cause
Ranking is 0 through 5.
0 through 5, yeah. We used to just rank it, the movie 0 through 5, and it was always there was this big debate because we didn't get into it enough. So we broke it into 3 categories. So first we're going to do rewatchability. We'll start with JF because he's the man of the hour.
Oh, definitely a 4 on 5. Like, it's not the kind of movie that I would crave rewatching, but if it's on TV or if at some point I am bored and I'm thinking, hey, I could watch Nightbreed, I'm not going to argue myself out of doing it.
Fair enough. Corey?
Definitely a 4 out of 5 for me. I was really excited to get to watch this as an assignment as opposed to just randomly picking it up and watching it anyways, which I would do. I've seen it a few times, and yeah, I'm pretty sure we own this one, actually, but it's still so much nicer when it's streaming and I don't have to get up off my chair.
Right. I'm going to go with a 3. Now, I agree with everything that you guys said, but I don't think I would ever... Like, I would really have to be in the mood to watch it. So... Or it would just be on TV. But I would never not watch it if it was just on, if that makes any sense at all. Probably not. I'll see myself out.
No, I get it. I don't 100% agree, but that's my taste.
Yeah, and if it's on TV, it's a matter, for me, it's like, oh, Nightbreed's on, I'm automatically turning that channel, but it's not I want to get up and go search around in my DVDs to try to find Nightbreed to put it on.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is why I gave it... I'll go 3.5. 3.5.
You don't have to change for us, Matt.
No. We accept you as you are.
I'm just saying, like,
Although watch under your tits once in a while.
I err on the side of it being a very enjoyable and rewatchable movie. I just probably never ever go out of my way to watch it again. Alone. With the lights off. Nude.
It's the only
Sweating.
way you should watch it.
I would probably, if it came up and someone hadn't seen it and they wanted to watch it, I would totally watch it with them. Moving on.
There we go.
The story. Now, you cannot, because JF, correct, you've read the book.
Yes.
You are judging it on the story of the movie, not the book.
4 out of 5.
Okay. Corey?
I'm also 4 out of 5. I love the way that the movie presents you with so many different things, and that there's so much more still to explore with the characters that it doesn't really get to do. I'd rather be overwhelmed with a bunch of things to look at and kind of dream about what they can be than have something just totally told to me and have no windows outside of that room.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'd rather have more to chew on than just be spoon-fed insufficient quantities of information.
Yeah, it's a cantina scene in Star Wars.
Yeah, exactly. There's just so much to pick from that.
I agree. I'll also say 4 out of 5. It was a really good movie. Jeff, once again, you did a very good job picking this movie, especially since I had never ever heard of it up until I started talking to you about this.
I am doubly glad that that I managed to introduce someone else to the wonderful world of Midian. That's the city.
Every time they said Midian, I was thinking of the TV show Entourage, because the first movie that guy does is Midian.
Midian, yep.
No.
Scariness.
Oh, a generous 3 out of 5. It's not a very scary movie.
No,
the scariest thing about it is Decker. And if there was more exploration of him, especially all the families and stuff that he killed, to kind of set Boone up to show him that he was murdering people and make him feel crazy, then I think there could have been more scariness to that. This is not...
I'll give it a 3.5, actually, because I'm not giving Decker the credit he deserves. There are some of the scenes at the beginning where he does kill a family. You do get the feeling that, oh, this guy is really a psycho. And when you learn his reasons for killing, it becomes even kind of weirder because it's so self-centered and so bizarre. But no more than 3.5.
Even 3.5 is pretty generous. I'd say I'm gonna give it a 2. Now, if this was 1990, it might be higher, but 27, however many years later, 25. Fuck it, 2.5.
I'm gonna go with an even 3, and it really is all about Decker and the scariness.
Right. No, because everything else. I mean, they don't make the monsters to be cute or too friendly, but at the same time, it's hard to be afraid of them because of the way they're introduced.
Yeah, except for the guy with the dog. What a sad moment is that with the dog?
No, let's not talk about that. I don't want to get.
That's not scary. That's depressing.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. That was the cute. Oh, here's something sweet, and we're gonna fuck that up for you.
Yeah, fuck you, Corey. I don't like dog sadness.
Yeah. Well, the dog was okay. We think. We never really see the dog again. God damn it! It's these mysteries.
Over. Stop it.
Open.
Stop it. I suppose, Corey, do what the good Lord made you to do.
You can contact us by leaving us a voicemail at 805-328-3966, or you can email us at pot@gncast.com, or you can leave a message on our website. You can also follow us on the Twitter and the Instagram at Podcast of Terror, and also subscribe to the podcast via iTunes, Stitcher, or any of your favorite podcatchers, and leave us feedback on those. We really would like to get your feedback. Honest feedback. It's not give us a 5-star, give us a thumbs up. Just give us what you think. But if you're listening, just let us know. We'd appreciate it. And all subscription options and links can be found under the subscribe tab at gncast.com. Finally, you can join us on our Facebook page under Collect Netcasts. JF, where else can we find you?
Anything relevant to me can be found on my website at jfdubeau.com. That's jfdubeau.com, or on Twitter at jfdubeau. That's all the fun stuff I do.
Now, obviously, you have your podcast, The Right Brain, that you're doing in relation to Ink Shares, and you have the Overcast.
I have the Overcast, but I don't remember all the contact info for that, because where you have been put here by the good Lord to spew the Galactic Netcast information, I've left my co-host to memorize that part. She does a better job than I do.
She does do a very good job.
I would probably end up inadvertently sending people to some random porn site.
Speaking of, are you doing Twitch like she is?
No. I'm trying to do Twitch for miniature painting, for painting little toy soldiers, but I don't really have a good permanent setup. I'm moving in a few weeks, so as soon as I've got something better done, like with a more permanent lighting and camera setup, I'll probably start doing that more often. But no, I don't do video game twitching because I bore people to death with it.
Yeah, well, you're not cute like Amy wearing robotic cat ears while you play video games, so.
No. Seriously, it would just be about 2 hours of me yelling invectives and curse words at my screen. It's not entertaining for anyone.
That is exactly our podcast. How dare you, sir?
Yeah, that sums up this whole shit show pretty well.
No, you guys have a thematic. Me, it would just be yelling, just nonstop, like a torrent of insults.
Just Abe Simpson yelling at the sky.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. Abe's, yeah, that describes it to a T.
That is awesome. Well, Corey, where can people not find you on the internet?
You can look for stuff that I am somewhat associated with if you go to don'taskcomics.com. You can check out the comics that we are posting on a regular semi-weekly basis. I actually have to put one up for Shock today that got released last night. And our Levi's World comic comes out every Thursday, and hopefully we'll have some more stuff coming at you soon.
Awesome. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Matt the Lifeguard. I think that'll about do it for another disgusting shit show of the podcast to tear. So thank you again for listening, JF. Thank you very much for coming to hang out.
Thank you for having me.
We'll have all pertinent links to JF's book and everything else that he does in the show notes, and we will catch you next time. Okay. Sexy beans. I'll put the next week thing in right after.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to be here for that, or do you not care?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be here.
Okay.
I'm always here. I didn't do my Stay Scary.
That's what I thought. That's why I asked.
That's why I was waiting.
That's fine. All right, JF. Thank you, buddy.
No, thanks for having me and allowing me to shamelessly plug my goddamn projects.
Yeah,
on your show.
If you want, we can do another one closer to the end of the ink share.
Oh, dude, that would be super awesome. First of all, I had a lot of fun. I love talking about stuff that I like movies and shit.
So think of dates, Sundays before your thing is done. Send me a message, and then we can do Hellraiser 4 for that one if you want. Since that was your backup. So, yeah. So just shoot me some Sundays at work, and we'll figure it out. Next.
Okay, I'll look at that tonight, and I'll shoot you an email.
Sounds good.
Cool. I'm gonna go eat.
Yes.
Yeah, do that. I'm gonna make a pizza as soon as I get done with the shit show.
Lucky you. All right. Again, thanks for having me, Matt and Corey. It was super fun.
Thanks
Real
for
pleasure.
Cheers.
See ya. Okay.
I like JF.
So do I, and sorry, I felt kind of bad. I felt like I was pushing him out the door, but I really kind of want to get done with this. So
No, that absolutely no problem. I like having succinct shows. It's getting to be a rarity, but
dude, this one was still an hour.
yeah.
So next week's next week, the two guys that are coming on are doing a show after hours, so they are on a time crunch.
Sure.
But cool. Well, I'm gonna click record again and then do this thing. Okay.
Yep.
Next week on the podcast of terror.
Next week we are going to be joined by, I lost my notes here, Nate and Brandon from the Inked Geek Studios to watch the movie Deathgasm. Sounds sexy. It's not. It's about death metal. It's a horror movie I've really wanted to watch for a long time, and it kind of just worked to watch it with those guys. They do a bunch of podcasts, none of which I have in front of me because I am ill-planned, but I know that they do a wrestling one every time there's a WWE pay-per-view, and I think they're recording a spoiler podcast for the new Batman, too, sometime next week. So,
Wow.
yeah, it'll be really cool. They were on Sci-Fi Geeks Club a couple weeks back. Super nice guys. And it'll be really, really awesome. We'll get more out of what they do next time. So tune in for them shits.
See you then. Stay scary, everybody.
God, you're so good at knowing when I'm done talking. I love that about you. Yeah.
That'd be the perfect wife.
Yeah, you would. Now I'm going to go make a Reuben pizza.
Wow.
I really like Reuben sandwiches.
You should be recording these things. You should be doing.
Dude, I made
sort of your-
so much food that I should have done for Daryl, and I didn't. Like, I made broccoli, cheese, stuffed chicken breasts, and twice baked potatoes, and I made shepherd's pie, but I made Guinness gravy in a slow cooker.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm eating a lot of oatmeal and yogurt.
I totally should be doing that. So, like, tomorrow I'll go back to eating chicken and, like, protein bars, but the weekends I usually give her. So, Okay, man. I'm gonna go hang out with my wife.
All right. Take care.
Yeah, you too. Talk to you soon.
Yep.
See you.